Hey y'all, welcome back to another video with laugh, gags, and gossip. Now let's get into the mess. So this is my reaction to Monica's All About the Tea, her video yesterday addressing the situation with her panelists, primarily Plez, because it seems like most of this was initiated with Plez leaving the panel. So the first thing I want to say is that I don't think the moderator did a great job. Some people are making comments about her speaking and reading and all of those things, and that's not what I'm focusing on. I'm just more focusing on the fact that the moderator, Dr. I think Griffin, who also, by the way, just as a little tidbit, was the woman who was accused of being Dr. Jamal Bryant's side chick. She's done prior interviews with Monica where she was exposing him. So that relationship already is a little bit shady, but we're going to move beyond that. She was the moderator, and I think she was really, really biased. I don't think that she was objective and that she gave a fair representation of the panelists versus Monica. It's like she tried to pretend to be fair and neutral, but she wasn't. And to be honest, when you bring somebody, Monica bringing her on her show, All About the Tea, of course, she's going to be biased. I mean, it's just hard to remain objective when you're on when you're on their show, right? Unless you're going against that person. The other person that they brought in that I thought was very biased, and I don't even know what his involvement is in all of this was Wiley. I get that he could have his opinions about it and everything, but I think he went really hard in the paint against Plez and the way that they talked about her law degree and almost saying that she's not a real attorney. First of all, and I'm just going to speak from my own experience, I was a litigation secretary for many years. Number one, it's like they're comparing apples and oranges. Monica made a point about if I give you a document they said something to the effect of, if I give you a document to read as an attorney, you should be able to interpret it on the spot. No. Law firms don't work that way. First of all, there are multiple areas of law. There's intellectual properties, there's contract law, there's litigators. So if we're going to talk about what kind of attorney she is, she may be a contract lawyer. They don't necessarily litigate and go to court. So I mean, if we're going to talk about what kind of attorney she is and her credentials and her degrees, first you need to understand what it is that she does. And so whether she's a real attorney or not, she's on a gossip show talking about information that may or may not be true and just giving her opinion. She's not really even dealing in fact-based information. So the fact that she's an attorney and it's almost like they're using it against her now because of the way things played out. But somebody made the point, and I'm just people say that I ramble, and I do. So if it's too much rambling for you, then hey, you know what you can do. But and I mean that respectfully. I just don't like the fact that they were trying to pick apart, what kind of an attorney she is. Is she a real attorney or not? Again, if you're familiar with law, you do know that there are multiple industries within law, or areas of law, I should say. And her being emotional and crying, again, she's not in her element at her job. Could she be emotional? Of course. It's like she built a relationship with these group of people, and now this is all being public. And so her crying does not detract from her ability to be an attorney. And I don't know if she is a litigator, if she goes into the courtroom, but I'm pretty sure if she was standing before the judge and she was prepared for a case, that she would not show that level of emotion. This was different. So let's not compare apples and oranges. So her showing emotion and crying, to me, doesn't mean to me that she's trying to elicit sympathy. I think it's a human emotion. I think it's emotional for her. She's been on this panel for months and they've developed some kind of relationship. And so to go on that panel with Monica and have all of those people, because I think it was like 5 against 1, the way it appeared, except for I don't think Bishop really jumped into it. It's almost like she was fighting against the group, right? It was like groupthink. Plez, you're wrong, you screwed up. Skool Boi had already come out and trashed her, so I could see her being emotional. So, let's not say that she's not a good attorney or this and that because she showed emotion. Attorneys show emotion all the time. And if you go to court, you can see sometimes they don't necessarily cry, but they get chastised by the judge because they might use profane language. I mean, a lot of things. That's why they say contempt of court, because sometimes it goes beyond the case and they do get emotional. So let's scrap that. Some people are talking about verbal agreements, oral agreements. Are they binding? Are they not? In California, oral agreements, verbal agreements can be binding. And again, that's why you will go to court to litigate whether or not it could stand up, right? The lady, Dr. Griffin, said if she has an attorney and she's paying her attorney, and I've paid some attorneys hundreds of dollars an hour. And again, like I said, I was a litigation secretary. First of all, most attorneys are going to tell you they need time to prep. If you go to court and the attorney is given something at the last minute, they're going to tell the judge they need to recess because they're going to want to go and review it. That's just the way it works. So throwing out these, if I'm paying an attorney and he can't do something on the spot, you wouldn't want an attorney to respond to something on the spot because they might respond with the wrong precedents or the wrong legalese and get your case thrown out. So that doesn't make sense right there. I understand the fact that she said that sometimes she was given things with very short notice. Yes, an attorney's job. And here's another thing. Attorneys don't necessarily work alone. They have a team. They have paralegals. They have secretaries. So they're not the only set of eyes when they're looking over your cases, people. Okay? So oftentimes the secretaries are learning and understanding the law just as well as the attorney because they're the ones who are transcribing and filing these documents. So some of the comments that they were making about Plez and her legal background, it just falls flat with me. If you have any inkling or have ever been in any kind of a legal environment, you know what they were saying. It just doesn't make sense. As far as Monica addressing this publicly, I thought this was a great opportunity because she is considered the leader. She's it's her business. She's the owner of All About the Tea, and they were to some degree, even if it's an informal employment situation, that's what it was. And Monica has a background in HR. I don't have a background in HR, so I'm not going to act as if I do or say too much because I don't really know HR like that. However, I do know just by learning and the different things I've had to learn on my job and in corporate America is that as the leader and the manager and the boss of All About the Tea, this was an opportunity for her to show some leadership. Oftentimes, employees get upset, they become disgruntled, and for your brand, I would think if you were going to come forward and address it, basically what you did was regurgitate. Well, when I say what you did, let me be clear. Basically, what I feel that Monica the Avatar did was regurgitate a lot of what we heard the night when they were all on the panel, the big night of the blow up. You basically just regurgitated what was said, and I didn't see that there was any new information. The owner of All About the Tea, this was the opportunity for you to take the high road, in my opinion, just my little humble opinion, and not necessarily bash them, but talk about, how maybe there was miscommunication and maybe in the future going forward, how things could be improved, lessons learned, things like that. But to go down and talk about each of your panelists and, Bishop this and Plez that, I mean, it was condescending. And Wiley said you gave them an opportunity to have their own platform. And well, it was a fair exchange. You didn't just give them an opportunity. You needed them or wanted them. Yes, you could have picked anybody else, but you wanted a panel. So that's why you chose those people, and you chose them for the various reasons that you said, that it was an oxymoron for the bishop to be a bishop and to drag women or talk about women and stuff. So you picked them for a reason, just like any other cast, because you thought it would add to your show. So it's not like you were just doing something for them out of the kindness of your heart or for charity. It was a fair exchange. They performed a service and you compensated them for that. Now, at some point, did they maybe decide they wanted their own platform? Yeah, I mean, they were on your platform, helping your platform grow, and you must give them credit, and they should credit you as well. But I don't think it was a one-sided venture where you were the one pulling these people up, these lowly subs, and giving them, an opportunity to start their own channel or whatever. It's like everybody gained something from this work relationship. I just thought that as the manager, that you would just take the high road and not necessarily address some of the internal issues that you guys had, but to say, all about the team, we're going to move forward beyond this crisis, and I wish everybody success. As the leader, I take full responsibility for some of the things that happened. It's like you didn't take, none of the onus was on you. You started pointing fingers, and I would just be surprised if an employer would do that publicly. It's like, I wish the company that I work for would do something like that, because we would definitely be litigated. Now, we really would be in front of a judge, because it just was not handled professionally, I think. That's how I feel. However, I have to give you credit, Miss Monica, because you have built a brand and you've done that. And that's awesome. And so maybe this whole panel fallout is a lesson learned. But you, instead of just taking it as a lesson learned and saying, we're going to be better in the future, we're going to get some tighter, we're going to implement some process improvements. It's like you're going back down in the dirt and fighting with your employees, and the managers could be right, but it's just how you respond to it. You don't go on your platform and then just bash the people that work for you. I mean, and then it seems like you guys just outed Plez in terms of you doxed her with her name, her company, her full name, and you don't even want anybody to see your face. You don't want anybody to know who you are. But you're going to put all of her information so we can go look up her full name, where she works. That was not in good taste. I don't even know what recourse she has for you doing that. That should be an issue for her. She's an attorney, so I'm sure she'll handle it the way she needs to. So I thought that was in poor taste. It was just a failed opportunity. And one of the things that Monica said that I do agree with, because, I've had these conversations with management. If they did have all these grievances, then in fairness, they should have come to you and let you know prior. Because I've had managers tell me before, if you didn't tell me what the issue was, how can I fix it? And as an employee, as an individual contributor to a company, I feel the same way. I don't want to wait till my performance review comes up for you to tell me you've been screwing up, because then we're at the end of the road and you didn't give me an opportunity to fix it. So I think in all fairness that there should have been some communication. And it's hard to really know how many conversations they had previously about some of the things that were working or things that weren't working. I don't know. But that's the one thing that I do agree with Monica, that if there were so many bad things going on, that there should have been a stop point where they had some kind of discussions to see if they could resolve it. And maybe, and if not, then maybe move on. The whole thing about Monica calling Plez and Plez, not calling her back, that's just miscommunication and a little bit of ego on every side. Should Monica have called her as the owner of the company? Yes, but things happen. She's running a business. That one particular employee, hey, who knows? If Plez was not certain or sure about what her future was, she could have called her as well and said, hey, I haven't heard anything. It sounds like, from what I recall, it does sound like Plez said she did reach out But I'll be honest, I don't have all the details in front of me, so I can't remember exactly. But what I will say is that it was two parties that it was a missed opportunity for both parties. You know, he could have done this, she could have done that. It happens to the best of us. Things happen. You can't foresee every little variable in a situation and address it, because if we could, you know, with hindsight, we always do things differently. But if we could see what the fallout would be, I'm sure everybody would have handled it differently. So yeah, I'm just it just was disappointing. I just don't feel like Monica really took the ownership of, you know, being the leader of that panel, and did more finger pointing and justifying than anything. She has a great platform. She's done some wonderful things in 8 years, so hats off to her. She's still gonna thrive. I mean, I heard she lost subscribers. I'm not gonna unsubscribe to her. They had some issue on the show. Okay, things happen. It doesn't make her necessarily a horrible person. It doesn't make Plez a bad person. This is just things that happen in business. And I'm not part of the cancel culture. Just not, you know. I don't agree with how Monica handled it, but that don't mean I'm going to unsubscribe to her channel. And there's a lot of people out there I disagree with. I still listen to them. There's some people I just will not, which is Tommy Sotomayor, because I don't like the way he talks about black women. That's just me. But in terms of these other things, I mean, this is a learning lesson for me if I'm ever in a position like Monica. You know, because I know for me, I don't really have great management skills, because I'm one to blow up and I probably will be sued. Like, I don't want to hear all your excuses. I don't care. Just get the job done. That's not cool, right? So I know what my temperament is, and I know the best lanes for me to be in. Okay? So in closing, I wish everybody well. I don't have a dog in the fight. This is just my opinion. There were other topics and things that were discussed, but I don't want to make this video too long. But all of the parties involved, I'm sure, will go on and succeed and do well. It looks like most of them had other jobs and ventures anyway. So, you know, everybody's going to be fine. The one thing I will say is that nobody deserves to get death threats behind stuff like this. This is all the internet and YouTube, and most of you don't know these people personally. So to go to the point of making a death threat because of you disagree with something somebody said, now that's a bit far. You know, don't jeopardize yourself or your family or in your karma, you know, threatening people over stuff that happens every day. I mean, people quit, get fired all the time, and just because it's on a public platform, don't go that far. You know, for anybody, you know, it's just not worth it. If you feel that the woman or whoever, whichever party you disagree with that vehemently, hey, unsubscribe and stop following them. But don't go to the point of saying you want to hurt somebody and bringing people's kids into it. That's just ugly. And I mean, that is just too far. So, I mean, I'm gonna end on that note. Let's just look at it for what it is. It's YouTube, it's entertainment, and that's it. At the end of the day, if you don't have no personal relationship with these people and you can't claim them on your taxes, get over it. It's not that serious. Jump in the comments and let me know your thoughts. Bye.